Bonjour classe et bienvenue à la leçon pour aujourd'hui. Welcome to today's lesson. Aujourd'hui c'est le 22 avril 2020. Today is April 22nd, 2020. Aujourd'hui, on va apprendre les verbes qui changent des accents. So today we are going to learn accent changing verbs. We're going to talk about two main verbs, but then I'm also going to give you a list of verbs that conjugate like those two main verbs. So let's go ahead and get started. The first verb that I want to talk about is the verb préférer. So we're going to write down préférer. And you'll notice I'm going to put the accents in red because we're going to be talking about accent changing verbs, but you can't really see that red. So let me make it a little bit darker. So let's talk about préférer first. And préférer is the verb to prefer. So this just means to prefer. All right, so to get started, we first need to draw our table so we can conjugate it. And with préférer, the reason why it's called an accent changing verb is because it conjugates like it normally would for an ER verb, but the only difference shows up with accents. So we're going to just go through first and conjugate the verb like we normally would, and then we're going to go through and add in our accents. So let's conjugate first. So we have préférer. Okay, so all we do is take off that R, and then we have préfère and préfère. And then on the right-hand side, we have préférons, préférer, and préfère. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little outline, and I hope you'll be able to see this color, but I'm going to draw an outline around all of these verbs inside this orange line. So every verb inside this orange line is going to have something special happen to it. So I'm going to call this the boot. And everything inside of that boot is going to change the accent. And so everything outside of that boot, like préférons and préférer, is going to keep the same accents that it had. So let's add in those accents. Now, with the verbs with the conjugations inside of that orange box, the accents are going to change to the shape of a house. Like if you're looking at a house, right, and the roof is shaped like this. So we're going to change our second accent and make it look like a house. So let's go through and add our accents on. And that's how you would conjugate préférer. Now, verbs that conjugate like préférer are verbs like espérer, which means to hope. And then we have répéter. Helps if I write it out right. So répéter, which means to repeat. So how we would conjugate these verbs is by doing the same thing. If it's inside of that boot, that accent on the second E, it helps if I write out my accent here too. So that accent on the second E is going to change. So we've got our accents now added in. So let's do an example like with espérer, like I hope. So we'll do je, and then because it starts with an E up here, we need to get rid of this E. So we're going to just add an apostrophe, and so now it's the beginning of our next word. S, pay. I'm going to not write my accent for right now. So j'espère. And now we need to take our accent, and with our accents, they were inside the box. Everything inside the boot, that second accent, changed to an accent grave. So we're going to just make this an accent grave. And that's how you would conjugate something like espérer. And the same thing with répéter is what you would do with préférer, and you would just conjugate and change that second accent to be the house. So accent aigu and an accent grave. So just to recap, on here, the second E or the second accent changes. So accent changes to accent grave, right? So it changes to an accent grave. So that's pretty much it for préférer. I'm going to draw a little squiggly line, and we're going to keep going. So I'll move this up just a bit, and now we're going to talk about verbs like acheter. So I'm going to write acheter right here. And acheter is the verb to buy. So like I'm going to go to the store and buy some snacks, right? Because we're all eating snacks now. So acheter is the verb to buy. Notice it doesn't start off with an accent. So you're like, Madame, wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. You're like, this doesn't start off with an accent, but you're telling me that it's an accent-changing verb. What are you talking about? Acheter doesn't start with an accent, but it adds an accent. So let's draw our box, okay? So we've got our box, and let's go through and conjugate like we normally would for ER verbs. So we're going to put achète, 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 achetons, acheter, and achète. Okay, so now we need to add our accents. Our accent is going to get added on that first E. So achète, 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 and achète. Okay, so now that our accent is added, everything that was inside of that boot that we talked about earlier gets that accent added. So all of these things inside that orange boot got the accent added. Everything outside we just left alone. So verbs that conjugate like acheter, that don't start off with an accent but add an accent, are verbs like amener, which is like the verb to bring, like if I want to bring somebody along to the movies. So to bring. And then we have emmener. There's two M's there, so hold on one second. So emmener is the verb to take along, like, oh, I'm going to take my brother to the movie. So this is to take along. All right, and then we also have lever, which is the verb to rise, or like to raise up. So when we said levez-vous, that's like you're raising yourself up. And then we have promener. And promener is the verb to walk. So let's do an example of each of these over here. So we have amener. Let's do that one first. So we'll just kind of go down the list. We already did je up here, so let's do to. So we have to, and then our verb, A-M-E-N-E-S, amen. And then we need to add our accent. So let's add our accent in over top this E. It's an accent grave. Okay, so amener, let's do amener, and let's do il, al, on, so the singular one. So we'll do il, M-M-E-N-E, and now we need to put in our accent. So put our accent over top that verb there. All right, and let's do leve. So we have, let's do il leve. So they rise up, or they whatever. So il leve, and then we could say the book. So I'm really bad about writing in two different colors here. Let's do the book. Il lève le livre. They raise up the book. So now you can kind of see how verbs like préférer are conjugated. And so the verbs like préférer have to start off with two accents. And that second accent just switches to an accent grave. With acheter, acheter doesn't start off with an accent, but everything inside that boot adds an accent grave in the conjugated form. So that's pretty much it for the notes today. I will include another video in the lesson so you can hear somebody else talk about it. And then there's also going to be lots of practice work too. If you have questions, please, please, please reach out. But until then, don't forget that we have kindergarten reading time on Friday at 11 a.m. If that time doesn't work out for a lot of people, just let me know. It's just a test run. But we're also going to be starting a new book. So we're going to be starting Brandon Brown de la Verite. And so this is Brandon Brown de la Verite. And it just says, rather than get caught in the act of disobeying his mom, Brandon decides to lie about his actions. He quickly discovers that not telling the truth can create big problems and cause lots of stress. Will his dishonest actions be revealed, or will he decide that honesty is the best policy? So we're going to start with Brandon Brown de la Verite on Friday. You don't have this book as like a print off, but I'm going to scan it and post it in Google Classroom if you want to follow along that way. Okay, so c'est tout pour aujourd'hui. That's it for today. Until then, à vendredi.